So now we're doing lesson number 8 in the quarterly, the book of Acts, the Jerusalem Council, the Jerusalem Council. The memory verse is from Acts 15:11. We're going to read verses 10 and 11. It says, "Now then, why do you try to test God by putting on the necks of the disciples a yoke that neither we nor our fathers have been able to bear? No, we believe it is through the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ that we are saved, just as they are." And then here is from the Living Translation, the New Living Translation. "So why are you now challenging God by burdening the Gentile believers with a yoke that neither we nor our ancestors were able to bear? We believe that we are all saved in the same way, by the undeserved grace of our Lord Jesus." What does it mean? What does this mean? What is the message of the text trying to tell us? Is it telling us that we cannot be saved by law keeping? Is that what it's telling us? You can't be saved by law keeping. Yes? No? You guys are confused? Look at the text again. What are you doing putting this burden on these people that we couldn't do? We're saved by the grace. So is it saying we can't be saved by law keeping?
Yes.
Yes, that's what it's saying. You can't be saved by law keeping. But question, can you be lost by law breaking?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you explain if law breaking can cause you to be lost, that law keeping cannot cause you to be saved?
What law are you following?
Okay, so which law lens are we looking through? Exactly correct. So how is it often explained in the imposed law view? The imposed law view, that once the law is broken, like human law, imposed law is like human law, like the laws that this court or your state or your government would have, that's the imposed law view, that once the law is broken, a penalty is required. Somebody has to be punished. Okay, so if a murderer committed murder 20 years ago and hasn't committed murder for the last 20 years, so they've been keeping the law ever since they broke the law, now they're keeping the law, it doesn't set aside the fact they still deserve punishment for when they broke the law. That's how imposed law looks at it. So it doesn't matter how much law keeping you've done, you're still guilty for having previously broken the law. Does that make sense to everybody? And that somebody has to be executed for that broken law. The penalty is death, and somebody needs to be executed for that. Somebody. Now think about that construct just for a moment. How many of you think that it would be reasonable to punish an innocent person for the crimes of a guilty person? How many would vote for that in your society? That we can, if you're guilty of murder, as long as you can find some innocent person who's never done a crime to take your punishment and be executed in your place, then you can go scot-free. How many would vote for a system like that?
No.
Only if you're Christian.
We don't vote for it, but sometimes a mother might volunteer to give her life for a child or vice versa.
Yep. And so a person who loves somebody might volunteer. And how about if a parent comes forward to the court and says, "I know my son murdered those children. I know my son did that. I love my son so much. I'll give my life. Kill me, execute me, convict me of guilt even though I've done no crime, and set my son free." How many courts would approve of that? Would you vote, if you were a congressman, to pass a law to make it legal for a loved one to be executed in the place of a guilty loved one, an innocent loved one? Would you vote for that if you were a congressman?
No.
To make that the law of the land?
It doesn't make society any safer to have that mother sacrifice for that son.
Does anybody think it would be just and right to do? Do you see, even in the imposed law system, when we teach this idea that it's legal, it's right, it's good to allow an innocent to step in and be punished arbitrarily or imposed penalties upon so the guilty get to go for it makes no sense. It's not just, it's not right, it's wrong. But that's how we teach God runs his universe. It's corrupt. What would you say about God, or a God, who allowed for sacrifices to be offered to him to let off guilty people? Notice I'm staying in the legal model here, to let off guilty people.
It's like paying a bail to set them free.
That's exactly right.
Or the virgin in the volcano kind of thing.
There you go. Let's offer the virgin to the volcano god so we can have, yeah, exactly. This is paganism, exactly what you're saying. So does anyone in the penal legal camp teach that anyone other than Jesus, any other human being can actually keep the law? Do they teach that you can keep the law? They don't. No, not really. So, then aren't we always piling up more crimes that deserve more punishment? Yes. And this has led to the whole, all sins, past, present, and future, put on Jesus, the innocent, and God punished him, and he punished him with such ferocity and such infinite punishment that it pays the penalty for all the sins ever committed by all times for all people, and they're legally taken care of. And if you accept that payment, then he can be punished in your stead. It's just, really, if you any thinking person, it becomes bizarre, weird. So how do we explain, though, the reality that we cannot be saved by law keeping? That's a reality. We cannot be saved by law keeping. With the reality that you can be lost by law breaking in the design law model. How do you explain it that way? Well, very simply, and it makes sense. You guys know this. Breaking the laws of health, which are design laws, cause disease, yes? Keeping the laws of health once you have a terminal condition from your law breaking does not cure the condition. So a person who smokes 2 packs a day and gets lung cancer, and then after they have lung cancer, they stop smoking. So now they're in harmony with the laws of health. They're not going to smoke anymore. Does that cure their condition? No. Keeping the law once you have a terminal condition doesn't heal or provide remedy for the condition. So we can be lost by law breaking, by destroying and corrupting ourselves, but we cannot keep the law to heal or restore ourselves. We need an external remedy.
Don't you think it's because it's a condition of the heart?
Well, it's a condition of our being. That's correct. It's a condition of our being, just like lung cancer is a condition of being, not an external legal status in some record book somewhere. That's correct. So Jesus came to provide a remedy to the cancer of sinfulness. The remedy is provided free by God, and this is known as God's grace. God's work, God's actions to provide or take upon himself the condition and cure it. Now, how right would it be, also known as, what's a Bible word for being right or doing right? Just, justify, or righteous. That's exactly right. So how righteous is it and this is where mom comes in with her love, okay? How righteous is it for a healthy person to donate bone marrow to a terminal person with leukemia? How righteous is that? How reasonable is that? So we see how righteous it is for an innocent, healthy, innocent, cancer-free person to sacrifice self to donate a healing remedy to a person with a terminal condition. Boy, that's righteous. That makes sense. There's no unrighteousness, no injustice in that. Partaking of the remedy then cures, transforms, heals, regenerates hearts and minds. However, does taking of the remedy prevent future damage that would come from breaking the laws again? So you've got a cancer condition from some unhealthy living practices, breaking the laws of health, and you go to the doctor and they provide some remedy that puts the cancer into remission, and that's provided to you for free. You didn't develop it, you didn't create it, some other person did it, but you've partaken, so you're now having the cancer put into remission, you're being restored, you're being healed, but then you go out and do the same unhealthy behaviors again. Can you damage yourself again? So do you see how law keeping does not save you, but law breaking can cause you to be lost? Does that make sense? And do you see how perfectly things fit when we have a design law view, and how confusing and crazy they get when you have the imposed law view? So here are these same verses from the remedy. So why are you trying to prove you know better than God by putting legal requirements and rituals on them, which will only enslave them like a yoke around their necks, and which neither we nor our ancestors have been able to bear? No way. Don't do it. We believe it is through the gracious remedy of our Lord Jesus that we are healed, and so are they. Sunday's lesson, first paragraph.